you know what's about to happen. So I'm about to have my sister Queen Imani Latifah come up on here on the live, and we about to talk about Black history and Black culture and Black everything. Okay? And if you don't know Imani Latifah, if you're not familiar with her on my YouTube, okay, you may not be aware. But Imani is the sister that when it comes to Black history and Black culture, you got to know her. When it comes to understanding Black folks and who we are and where we come from before slavery, you got to know her. When it comes to getting resources on what to read and what to watch and what to know when it comes to Black folk, you got to know her. She ain't just no regular, everyday, no average Joe. You are looking at a master in film. You are about to hear from somebody who is a master in understanding and unpacking Black culture. You are about to hear from the professor herself, okay? Imani Latifah Warren, the daughter of the founder of Pathways to Equivalent herself, okay? So what I need y'all to do is I need y'all to have y'all pen and y'all pad ready. Be prepared to take notes, Be prepared to take notes because Imani gonna give you some resources. So I need y'all to be prepared to take notes. This conversation, shout out to the Honorable David Arnold, this conversation ain't for the weak. Imani, let's get it, girl. Let's get it, girl. Hey, we doing it.
Finally.
We doing it. Well, we doing it well. Y'all, this is the Imani Latifah. Look at all the books in the back. You know this sister reads something.
I be reading.
You know the sister be doing something.
I be reading. Hey, everybody. Oh, peace and love to y'all, especially during the time when it's like all these planets in retrograde and an asteroid is in retrograde. Joy just told me that the other day. I was like, what does that mean? I'm crazy already, okay? So, yeah, here we are. Everybody, make sure get your incense. Come on, we've got Palo Santo this evening. So everybody light your incense. Hey, Virgo sun, you are beautiful. Hey, my sisters and brothers, we're gonna light this incense. Now let me tell y'all something. It's way past my bedtime, but for this little baby goddess of mine, she was like, sis, I said, what you need? I'm coming. what we doing?
We gonna drag her out the slumber. We dragging her out the bed.
What we got to do? So we gonna put that over there. So thank you so much, Queen. Y'all get y'all some clove water. I'm telling you.
Did I tell y'all or did I tell y'all not? Did I not say she was going to come in here with resources and recommendations? She done already told y'all to get the incense. Now she's telling you to get the clove water, and we 5 seconds in. What's the benefits of the clove water, sis? Let them know.
Oh, if you have anxiety or high blood pressure, it will definitely work at bringing that down. It's supposed to be good antifungal, I'm about to say antibacteria, but yeah. It's supposed to be really good for your blood pressure. And after a while, I kind of just got adjusted, but my mom had bought me some clothes from Africa like last year, so they still in here. But I keep it in the refrigerator, keep it cold, and so I'll make a tea and add a little bit of it. But right now, it's just cloves and water. Sit it out overnight, put it in the refrigerator, and drink this. This is regular spring water and cloves. Just you make it yourself. Just get you some cloves. Put it in a old jar, put your spring water in there. If you like a room temperature, and if you use like a good size, like a liter like this, you won't even notice it. It's really good for you. It's good for your skin. If you got teeth issues before you can get to the dentist, put some cloves on there. Look it up. It's so many things. Happy birthday, Scorpio sun. I think that's what you posted. Yeah.
Yes, happy birthday, happy Earth Day, happy solar return, happy all the woke shit that we say on people's birthday. You know, happy all the woke sayings.
Yes,
day. Happy Earth Day.
The whole text
happy
and all
rising. Happy busting through the womb.
Mm-hmm.
Ashe. Okay.
Ashe. All right.
Yes. So, Sister Queen, I think it's so important for us to have this conversation because, you know, a lot of folks, when we talk about spirituality, we talk about African traditional religions, then what it start with? Africa. Right, it starts with
Yeah.
Africa. So we talk about, you know, Black culture and Black history, and of course, you know, unfortunately, we find that when a lot of people speak on Black history, it's easy to talk about the diaspora and to talk about the transatlantic slave trade because that's
Yeah.
the information that we are, you know, force fed from when we were young. You know,
Right.
your people were slaves, and you know, our ancestors were forced on ships, and that's how we got to America. That's what we're told so often.
Right.
But I think it's important, you know, in conversations that we talk about, when we focus on, and this is not about, because we already had the conversation on spirituality. We did that. That's on YouTube, y'all. Our conversation on
Look it
spirituality is
up.
on YouTube. Okay, so this one, it's not about African traditional religions, but I think it's important to have this conversation because when we talk about African traditional religions, we are talking about that which was founded before colonization.
Yes.
Okay. So in order to understand the value of what was before colonization, you have to understand the value of Africa and how much of a great and civilized people we were before colonization.
Yeah.
You know, they show us the images of our of African people, and
Yeah.
they hurting, they starving, they got flies on them, they living in huts.
Right.
And that is not the case. That is not accurate. That's not
That's
how
right.
we were living. That's not who
That's
we
right.
are. We've always been the people who were abundant. We've always been the people who were successful. Yes, this live will be saved. We always been a people of wellness. We always use the ground, and we always been root workers and all of that.
Mhm.
So for you, Sister Queen Imani Latifah, my intentions for this live is to have you share some background on, and I want you to go with what your spirit lead. I want you to start with where your spirit tells you to start. I want you to speak on what your spirit tells you to speak on. And I want you to share resources with the people that your spirit leads you to read. I know you're going to be behind you picking up some books. I know you're going to be doing some things.
It's
So
some
y'all,
books
this
back there
live will be
too.
saved, but I need y'all to get some pen and paper and
Yeah.
take notes. Because when I say this sister is a wealth of resources, she is a wealth of resources. So Imani Latifah, this platform is open for you to speak. But first, please start out with telling the people who you are and your education and who your mama is, so they can understand who is speaking before them.
Greetings, my beautiful Black, brown people. Beautiful baby sis. This is my baby sis, y'all. You know, I love her so much. Thank you so much for having me on your platform. You know, Black history, African history, Nubian, Akibalian, it's everywhere we go. And so I was blessed to have a mother and a community that raised me up in a Pan-Africanist perspective. So my mother drilled me, and still to this day, she drills me. Like just earlier today, she was sending me some videos about from YouTube. She'd be on YouTube University. She's retired, so she's always sending me videos about different things. I'd be like, oh Lord, another lecture. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I grew up listening to lectures from Amos Wilson, Dr. John Henrik Clark. Please, 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 please. I'm gonna try to not talk so fast. But if you guys don't know who Dr. John Henrik Clark, please. He is a master teacher. He is an ancestor. Write that down. Look him up. He's got videos, books, everything. Dr. Amos Wilson, the Black psychologist who has written this thick book about this thick, Blueprints of Black Power. If you ever have the desire, please write that down. Look that up. So many others. Back in the day, we used to listen to Brother Naeem Akbar, who had the books Knowledge of Self, or I hope I'm saying that correctly, but his books were hand down. Then you have Malana Baruti, Baba Baruti in Atlanta, who's got books about centered. Remember we went by there in Atlanta to his house?
To Baba Baruti. We're going to talk about that too, because you know I want to touch on Black love and the power of compliment. So go ahead.
Yeah, the Baruti's got this book called Complimentary. Y'all get with it, please. You know, it really talks about in relationships how, from an African-centered perspective, just off the top of my head, but I feel like everywhere you go is we just black as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Everywhere we go. And just this past weekend, just to kind of recap before I start talking about that, we were in Orlando. Now, Orlando is mostly known for like Universal, Disney World. No, not me. I went to this place called the African Wells Museum, which is a plethora of Black history that's going on for African Americans. You need to know in your own respective communities. Visit the bookstores, visit the museums, visit the cultural centers. Anything you need to do. The first name, going back, we said Dr. John Henrik Clarke. Dr. John Henrik Clarke. As a matter of fact, Wesley Snipes did a piece it's on YouTube, and it's like a 4-part series about Dr. John Henrik Clarke. It's full of information. He's known for saying, and I hope I quote this correctly, for people who want to try to debate me, there's no debate. I only teach others. Well, he says, wait a minute, I'm messing it up because it's late. He said, there's no debate. He only teaches. With his equals, he debates. But who is his equal, right? You know what I'm saying? We talk about Dr. John Henrik Clarke.
But wait a minute. It's John Henrik Clarke.
Yes, John Henrik Clarke. That's right. You got it. Thank you, got it, Star. That's right, Dr. John Henrik Clarke.
So the thing with understanding Dr. John Henrik Clarke is that quote that I don't debate.
That's right. I don't debate. Teach. Right. That's right.
I debate with my equals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's it.
I need y'all to sit with that. Write that one down. But when you unpack, yes, it's John Henrik Clarke, not Henry, Henrik. John Henrik Clarke.
With a K in it.
Understand the power of Dr. John Henrik Clarke because he is the foundation.
Yeah, master teacher of African, like so he's from Georgia, but has a profound sense of what it is to be a community. And like, just if you drive in, listen to his lectures, get into it. So when I was about 13, I met him in Atlanta. Of course, by this time he was visually impaired, and I never forget what he said to me. He said, the most important thing to you is your education, and not necessarily the whole college and degrees. That's important because of the, environments we live in, but that education, that knowledge of self, that, that Garvey, we need that, you know what I'm saying? So that's like extremely, extremely important.
Can you talk a little bit about two? I got 2 questions already based on what you said. I'm gonna just hit you with one first.
Okay.
I want to go back because you talked about going to Orlando.
Yes.
And I want you to talk a little bit about the importance, and again, the intention of this live is to share resources. But I want y'all to understand the mindset of studying. Yes. Understand the mindset of unpacking your culture, because I often, people ask me, Queen, you got books? Can we get recommendations? Can we get resources?
Yeah.
And I did a video on this, and I said, y'all, we don't just study this information in 1 book, 2 books, 10 books.
We dialogue and then we travel.
Right. For the wellness community,
Right.
I got a book list that has almost 50 books on it, and it still ain't enough because this is a lifetime work of studying and learning. Right. So you spoke about when you travel,
yes,
you go seek out Black culture. Can you speak on that and the value of everywhere you go, you look for Black?
Yes, everywhere I go, and y'all should be the same way because it is so enjoyable. So like I said, just a little bit of background. I'm from Philly, West Philly, born and raised. I went to Overbrook High School where Wilt Chamberlain, Will Smith went. So I'm from that part of West Philly, born and raised. So in Philadelphia is a real cultural city. I mean, everything from Odoon Day, from the first, from Richard Island, from, all kinds of things first with Philadelphia. And so a real heavy cultural city. So we had the Lots Conference growing up and all these cultural things, Odoon Day, Black Family Reunion. So that's kind of the environment I came in. And then also, as I got older, we started to go south more. So, spending time, having some time growing up in Atlanta, digging into Atlanta's Black history. So it was just embedded in me at an early age. And so everywhere I went when we were little, we would always be going to a museum. I remember being the age of 9. We went to Chicago. We went to the Disabled Museum, which is an African American museum out there. So, you know, my folks really instilled in us how important it is to like not only just read or walk, but just get into the environment of everything Black. And so everywhere I go, I try to research, well, what's Black going on, who's there, what's happening. So the last month I've traveled to 3 different places. I went to LA, Atlanta, of course, but I'm right here in Miami, and then to Orlando. And everywhere I went, I make sure I do something Black as fuck. So and it doesn't matter. Like, so I have a background in film. I teach, as she said, at one of the local universities, FIU, Florida International University. I teach Intro to African, the Visual World of African Art. I'll also be teaching a film course. So like me, a teacher, so weird. I am not the average teacher, y'all. I'm like, what are we learning today? Like, let's talk about what you want to talk about. Today in class, we talked about hip hop. We talked about Rakim, the beauty of being able to do that, you know? But just kind of bringing it back full circle, when you travel, it's just important to kind of get into who were the leaders in the environment? What did they do? Where are the old Black churches? Was there any historical reference? Were there any Black designers or makers or anything in that area? So I don't know where everybody is at. If y'all could shout out where y'all joining us from, you know, Kansas City or wherever y'all at, just shout it out. Where you at? You know what I mean? And I just implore you all to just kind of look into your respective communities to see what resources you have available, because there are so many things and so much history. And even now, discovering
it's so crazy that the first 2 places they name is places you live. They said, somebody said Atlanta, and the second place
LA,
is
Houston, New York. Come on, Houston, Detroit. Yeah. Come
you
on,
know,
DMV, Virginia, Pensacola. Okay.
Dallas. It's Black
Yeah.
culture all up and through Atlanta.
Yeah. Oh,
Houston.
H-Town, man. H-Town is popping. I love my H-Town. My Hugh-Town, Toronto. Yes.
So
Kansas. I just
since
said
Houston,
Kansas.
if somebody is living in Houston, where are some places that you would say, okay, you need to go here and learn about this?
First, when you're in Houston, go to the Shrine of the Black Madonna. Stop playing. You know what I'm saying? It's only a few of them. You got one in Detroit, one in Atlanta, one in Houston. One of the brothers who was a lecturer, I'm not going to say his name, but he was at the Shrine of the Black Madonna. And my mom, who absolutely loves her Pan-African world, we went to see him. What a beautiful church. What a great resource of local information. And I think they have a bookstore that sells Black books. But Houston, you have the African American Museum over there of art. They're always having stuff. When I was in Houston, that's where I met Sandra Bland's mother. At the time after she had passed away, they had a beautiful exhibition. But when I was in Houston, I went. And it was free. It's like always something going on there. And also, you know, not just local museums. Houston got some stuff, but just dig into a Black history or Black stuff Eventbrite. I'll be looking like where our place, where we at? Where we at? We outside. Where we at? So
yeah. What about Atlanta? What are some places in Atlanta that you would say if you want to study Black culture, you need to go here?
So first and foremost, for our Gullah, oh yeah, Gullah, we're gonna get into the Gullah. Like we gonna get
you know that's coming.
I used to be the director of art and culture at Penn Center in South Carolina, but we'll get into that later. You know what I'm saying? My former life. But in Atlanta, you have the Auburn Research Center, you have the Apex Museum, you have the Hammond House. I think there's a SSU graduate who runs that actually. You got the whole West End, Shrine of Black Madonna, Tassili's Raw Vegan Reality. Go on, get yourself a vegan wrap and then go get you some knowledge. The AU is there. It's so much. Even if you want to patronize, there's my favorite store that's over there, Afrocentric Network. They got earrings and oils, you know, everything. So I mean, it's just like there's exhibitions. Oh, when I was there the week before last with my mom, we went to support these sisters who have what is called the Black Hair Experience. And then you go and they take you through like just praising all things Black hair. Black hair is beautiful. And we were supporting Black businesses. Oh, it was so dope. You know what I mean? Yes. So things like that, you just have to look for it. And of course, lecturers, Georgia State is always having something. They have an Africana Studies department. Shout out to them. It's so much, y'all. It's like I don't even know what to begin sometimes. So yes.
So I do want to ask you this. First off, thank y'all for the badges. I appreciate the love. Yay. I do want to ask you this, sis. So you spoke a little bit. You kind of glazed over your teaching and your work. But something I know about you, and this is when y'all really gonna need y'all pens, because she already gave you a few of our elder teachers to learn from. She told y'all Amos Wilson. She told y'all Dr. John Henry Clark. She told y'all to research Naeem Akbar. Mm-hmm. She gave you quite a few. What I also want you to talk about is your love of film. And speak about your love of Black film, your history in studying Black film, and feel free to share some resources if they want to unpack Black film and the history on that. What should they research?
Let me tell y'all something. I love film so much, I went and got a master's in film. So I love
a master's in film from where?
Savannah College of Art and Design.
That's SCAD if you don't know. I don't know if y'all know about SCAD, but her master's in film is from SCAD. Yes.
So SCAD was really good. It is like a predominantly white school, but creatively, you want to be in environments that's going to feed you for whatever it is you're trying to do. Now I'm thinking about going back to get a PhD in African art. And let me just give y'all a brief story. Since I got to tell you this. So one of my students is working on something with the local museum. I'm not going to say which one, but they had African masks. And a lot of times, as everybody knows on this feed, that with the with things in Africa, Europe, they're trying to start bringing stuff back. They're trying to give it back, but now these museums have it, and they don't have any aspect of where these things come from. They have no information. They have no idea. So they just have, like an African mask, and well, this is not a mask, but this is my Oya doll. She cute.
So cute.
So you might have a doll or something like that, and you don't know anything about it. You don't know what country it came from. You don't know anything. So it kind of implored me, like, these people making the money off of our culture. They got it piled up like some Indiana Jones sitting in the back of a museum, and it's not on display. And our stuff is not art. It has spiritual meaning. It has value. But if we don't learn or study or research, they're going to be telling us any old thing and we'll believe them. That's my whole point to this story. So, I was telling my student, I said, girl, curate your shit. You know what I'm saying? I got your back, but you've got to stake the claim. It really is an open court. There's books. There's so many books. Since we're talking about that, let me just grab this one right here. Right here. And I know it's kind of backwards, but we're talking about African masks, Benin, the Bronze Kingdom. This is a book that someone gave me, but things like this is what really helps.
Hold on 1 second, sis. So Imani is going to do this probably throughout the live. When she holds up a book, screenshot it. Screenshot it so you can have that reference. That's a resource.
Okay, so
I'll hold it up again, sis. Screenshot that. Hold it closer. Benin, a kingdom in bronze. Yeah, so go ahead, sis. Keep talking.
So, things like this, look at the things that's in this book. Look at this. But the book kind of gives you a beautiful
coffee table book.
Yes, it is. The book gives you provenance as far as like where these things come from, how to identify, just educational exercise. You know what I mean? But it got me thinking, like, these people don't know. We need our people to tell them. And the way things are now is we just have to put the work in. We could get them street PhDs, because the people I see on TikTok, the brothers and sisters with this information, y'all getting it. Shout out to y'all. Yeah. So, so much, but I'm just here for the questions because there's so much information, sis. I'm like,
so I want to get back to film, to like, your background in film and studying film. When we talk about the depiction of Black people on the other side of that camera, when we are depicted in film, how do you feel about our depiction in film as a whole when it comes to Black history being depicted in film and Black culture as a whole being depicted in film? And what are some films you would recommend? So I know that's a lot, but how do you feel about Black film, Black shit in films? And what are some films you would recommend to unpack Black culture?
Oh man, that's a big question. But I will say this. I actually have a top 100 list of films that you should see all times. I just actually taught about that, but so I'll give 5 of my favorite films that one should see. One of them is Black Orpheus. If you don't have HBO, it's on HBO, but definitely check that out. It came out in 1959. It's a Brazilian film, and it kind of is touching the base about, the Orisha, and it's a love story, but it's beautiful to see Black people in such a way in 1959 in Brazil. Just kind of not like exploitative, but just being their natural, normal selves. It is subtitled, so you'll be able to read the English descriptions. But to talk about that, you also have another film, anything that Lorraine Hansberry has done, and they have changed it to film. I mean, my God, Raisin in the Sun, the original one, not the puffy one, even though I love that version.
It's just unpopular opinion. That version was good. People be hating on Diddy version of A Raisin in the Sun.
No, it was really good. I gotta say.
It was good, and I'm here for
was
Felicia Rashad. Save that shit. Felicia Rashad, save that shit. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Diddy was really good, but I am a lover of all things original, and so the original film, Black and White's, Sidney Poitier, I mean, my God, Ruby Dee, you know what I'm saying? Ivan Dixon. Like, Ivan Dixon is one of my favorite. He played Issa Guy in the original Imitation of Life. He also directed my next film, The Spook Who Sat by the Door. If you have not seen it, please, it's on YouTube. Although you could just go to just buy it. I hate to say Amazon. Amazon got everything. So, but The Spook Who Sat by the Door, that's number 3. That's like when I was like 13 years old, my mom had the tape or something. We had to watch that. So that's number 3, Spook Who Sat by the Door. Number 2, I would definitely say Sankofa. Sankofa is one of my favorite films. Sankofa is the film that made me go to film school. And I am good friends with Iya Ogunlande, who is actually on Facebook. She is the sister who played the role in Sankofa. She is what made the film what it was. And she has a whole phenomenal story about the behind the scenes of that. But that film right there, go back and fetch it. Sankofa. I mean, like.
Hold on 1 second. Sankofa, Sankofa. Sankofa.
Yes, but Sankofa is a film you definitely want to watch. Who? Number 1. Oh my gosh. That's not. This is off the top of my head.
So I'm gonna give you some time to think. Let me run back through her list. So Go ahead and keep thinking. She said Black Orpheus. Anything by Lorraine Hansberry. She said A Spook Who Sat by the Door. The Spook Who Sat by the Door, which is also a book.
Yes.
Black Orpheus. Anything by Lorraine Hansberry. The Spook Who Sat by the Door. The film and the book. And she said A Raisin in the Sun was anything by Lorraine Hansberry, but the 4th one was Sankofa. And number 1, Sankofa is on Netflix too right now. If you got Netflix,
yeah,
number 1 is
the number 1 for right now, because there's like millions. There's a film called Deacons of Defense. I don't know. Have you ever seen that? Deacons of Defense?
I have never. You said Deacons of Defense?
This is good. Let me just get you all over the Black history. So deacons, like deacons in the church. Deacons of Defense. Historically, Deacons of Defense was an organization started in the South in Louisiana, and they got tired of the police fucking with them and basically armed themselves. And the reason why it was so sweet is because the profound minds of how brothers think is that they took it upon themselves to protect their communities. You can Google that shit right now. It's a real organization. But Forrest Whitaker played in the film, and it's like, it's not your average civil rights film. It's that film talking about retribution. But they were a real historical organization who protected the lives of Black people in the South. And what I was saying was they was real smooth about it. If you ask them, nah, we don't know nothing about that. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
Keep your business intact. But Deacons for Defense, and I think it's on Amazon Prime, or at least if you have Prime or Stars or something like that. But You can find it
Deacons
on
for Defense.
Deacons for Defense.
Okay, I'm
Yes.
gonna have to tune into that one. I'm gonna have to tune into
Yeah,
that
that's a
one.
phenomenal film. So those are some of the films and then dealing with history. Of course, there's more international films from Brazil. There's films from Jamaica. One of my favorite Jamaican actors, and I'm sure you're all familiar with him. If anybody's seen Shotters, because Shotters is a classic, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But Jamaica has produced a lot of amazing films that have come out. Some are just particular, like, whether it be Dance Hall Queen or Smile Orange, so many amazing films. And of course, films that are coming out of Africa, like Nollywood. That's a whole nother thing, y'all. That's a whole nother thing, but they're enjoyable, the ones from the past. So, get into it. Like our history in our education, like you can just be Black all day in a little bubble, So yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, somebody asked a good question, sis. So
Mm-hmm.
first off, thank you for sharing that list. Somebody asked a good question. As a master filmmaker, master film curator, how do you feel about Black trauma in films?
Damn.
And the example they gave was Emmett Till. Till recently came out.
Glad you
How
brought
do you
that
feel
up.
about
Okay.
Black trauma in film?
So, how interesting is that? So this particular Till was directed by a Black woman, and I was like, I'm on the fence. I don't know if I want to see it. And so I asked my mom, who actually seen the film before I did. I was shocked. You know what I mean? She went last week, and I always ask her because, like, we have so much trauma in our films. I hate seeing rape of Black women. I hate seeing rape of Black men. I hate seeing certain things that's traumatic. Like, I don't think I could sit through 12 Years a Slave. Like, I've seen it, but I don't think I could sit through it like over and over again. However, in regards to Till, ABC came out and then it went to Hulu. They had like a show, and then they had the documentary of Emmett Till and Mamie Till about her decisions to show her son in 1954. I think that was Ebony's issue to the world, and they needed to see that at the time. But I'm kind of 50-50 about it. I feel like we can't talk about the trauma without talking about the triumph. You know what I'm saying? It has to be a happy balance. For example, since you gave an example, we saw Queen and Slim, right? We all loved it. For me, I feel like they should have survived at the end.
I'm like, I don't think we all.
Well, I'm just trying to give respect to the film. We appreciate Black films, Well, some of us didn't, but that's neither here nor there. But my point is, like, for me, I feel like I wish they could have survived at the end. And then I would have really thought the aesthetic of the film. At the time of, the heavy influx of brothers and sisters and, all these Black men still dying on the streets by police hand, we really needed a win through a visual representation. And although I get it, but they should have survived. Sorry.
Definitely.
Remake that shit and have them survive. Then it's a win for your psychic. You know what I mean?
And I think that's the value of, I always say this in the group chat. We got a Sista Queens group chat with myself, Imani Latifah, and a few of our other Sista Queens. And I always talk about the value of that motherfucking bad bitch Issa Rae.
Yeah.
Okay, when it comes to that badass Issa Rae,
God bless her,
and
beautiful Black
Insecure,
sister.
I don't give a fuck what nobody say.
Yeah.
I don't care how you feel about the type of relationships or what her and Lawrence went through. It felt good to finally have a happy ending. It felt good to have a show where all the characters ended up okay and ended up well. And it's sad that at the end, for that season finale, y'all, I was holding my breath expecting death. I was holding my breath expecting trauma. I just knew it was like every scene. I was like, okay, is she about to die? Oh, they're going to get into a car accident. Like, is something bad going to happen?
Yeah.
Because we're so accustomed to seeing us never get the happy ending. So I will forever be grateful that at the end, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, we needed it. We needed it because we do have happy endings. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We do have happy endings. And I feel like now we cannot necessarily, and I love Ava DuVernay. I actually
Absolutely.
have a what do you call those things? A pop, the bobbleheads of Ava. Like I swear down, y'all. Like seriously. So you know, that was really good, but I feel like our creative stuff, it plays heavy on our psychic because they're throwing the television in our face all the time. And so when Issa came out with Awkward Black Girls, I mean, there's so many awkward Black girls,
Yes.
and you know, rhyming and all that stuff, and it was just like it was a breath of fresh air. Let me tell you who else is winning right now on TV. That daggone Abbott Elementary. Have y'all seen that?
Quinta
Quinta.
Brunson.
Quinta. Brilliant. That is some of the most, I mean, it's what I love about it is number one, they break the fourth wall all the time, meaning like within the television world, it's kind of like they're doing a documentary, like they're speaking to the audience right at you. And the way they look at the camera sometimes, I mean, it's just brilliant writing, and a definite shout out to our educators who are trying to maintain things in public school systems around the country as educators, especially Black ones, because we feel you. We know how you feel. You
First
know,
off, I love the fact that you mentioned Quinta Brunson, and everybody do. He got money. Y'all real. Y'all real. Only we know that. You know, he got money.
He got money with her at the theater. Oh my God. I just.
Oh, sis, they mentioned Queen Sugar.
Queen Sugar.
Ava DuVernay.
Well, Queen Sugar is really really interesting. You know, what I love about Queen Sugar, kind of from the behind the scenes perspective, is that there's always women directors, and so that kind of gets them paid. You know, one thing about Ava, she gonna put you in there. She gonna put you in. I met Ava and her producer, Mr. Paul, at the Bronze Lens Films Festival. Oh, okay, I see that, sis. And it was, you know, it's remarkable. It's a little bit different version of.
Y'all know Diddy got to make an appearance. You know,
he's somebody.
All up in the video.
You know, but I love how they've kind of given these characters so much depth, and nobody is perfect. But I mean, when's the last time you saw a story about Black people owning sugarcane in Louisiana, and kind of trying to heal the family and the aunt? We all got an auntie vibe, you know what I'm saying? Trying to heal the family. We all got a fine ass brother, you know, who used to have a crackhead wife, but I was really happy about their union. You know what I'm saying?
But also, you know, the thing with Queen Sugar, I think that's important, is highlighting the value of passing something down to your family. Season 1 opens up, you know, that first season when the father makes his transition and he leaves them. Yes, Kofi Siriboe is fine as hell. We're going to acknowledge that chocolate. Hello. Okay. But in the first season, when the father transitioned and he leaves them with land, and then everything after is what are they going to do with the land? And I feel like that show opens up a conversation within the Black community, as any good film, any good show should do. It should open up conversation. Right. It took us down the journey of talking about that. What are you leaving to your family? Yeah. And how will they take care of it? Because you leave. People say I left my family 5 houses, but they 5 fucking crack houses that we now got to invest in and figure out how we gonna handle. And ain't nobody even got the money to invest to rehabilitate those homes. So you didn't leave us with a blessing. You left us with a burden. Yeah, you know. Right. So I think Queen Sugar definitely unpacked and opened up those conversations. But speaking about that, sis, how do you feel about films and shows opening up conversations on Black culture? Do you feel like right now they're doing a good job of that? When you are looking at films and shows, are you saying like, oh, okay, this is it? Or are you feeling like we need a shift? Do we need a move in the film industry?
We always need a move in the film industry, like seriously. I think about to the time when I was in film school, and like, no offense to like what it is, but all my professors were all white males. And that represents the industry still. And so when you see the Avas and the Oprahs and the Issa Rae, they're like one of a kind. And now the Quintons, they're one of a kind. The most I've seen with Black men on a film was when they did Red Tails, the last recent one. And I think Soldier Story was before that. And I know Soldier Story is in on Broadway right now in New York, or it was at one point. I think they're still going on. But yeah, we definitely need a shift still. It was at one point in time, and for those who don't know, who about to get ready to go see Black Panther that's coming out. Shout out to those amazing creatives who did that.
Ryan
But
Coogler.
Wesley Snipes before he came on board, it was his film, and that was still with New Line Cinema. And this is just a little bit of film stuff. He saved Marvel, Wesley Snipes, with his film about a daggone black vampire, saved Marvel. Because when that came out, when that dropped, then they had part 2, part 3, and it did phenomenal numbers. Blade 1, 2, and 3 killed it at the box office. That shit saved Marvel, just like back in the day, blaxploitation saved Hollywood. So it's definitely, you want to really kind of understand, like, our stories always are, feeding into saving different things. You know what I'm saying? And then we have our entertainers that do all these other cool things. There's so many platforms out there that we could start. Support those independent black platforms that have black cinema, some stuff that you might not have ever seen. And film festivals. Go to film festivals with your friends, definitely. But Hollywood got more work to do. But then again, we can create our own stuff. We don't need Hollywood.
Right.
So.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about the old fashioned, the slave narratives and the slave stories? And the reason I'm asking that question is because, I think about Tyler Perry just came out with the Jazz Man's Blues, and it's about that sharecropping Jim Crow era.
Girl.
And a lot of people are like, we tired of these slave stories. We tired of, sharecropping stories. But, and I understand that. But I have my feels on that as well. I do feel like, if we don't tell these stories, we don't want them to be forgotten.
Absolutely.
And although I understand that we are constantly inundated with these stories, I do feel like it's necessary to make them. So I'm not saying we should stop making them, but I do feel like we need to also make something else. When a Jazz Man Blues come out, we need another filmmaker to come out with something that's empowering or lighthearted, a comedy. Like, give us a variety. I don't feel like we should stop that, but I feel like we need a counter. How do you feel, sis?
I definitely agree with that. And y'all get ready, because Will Smith this month,
emancipated.
He's a slave. However, I'm sure he's going to survive. We need him to survive in this film. I'm like, Brother Will, we need you to survive in this film. I hope that's what the outcome is, because we need you to actually escape. Like how they did in Underground, we need y'all to escape and be free, because the trauma got to have some triumph. I don't, I'm sure there'll be dead people along the way. The other day I just watched Glory again. I know everybody's saying Glory, Denzel Washington, got his first Oscar. Yes, Snowflake and all that stuff. But we definitely need to support those films. But also, like, if you're interested, make your own film. You know what I'm saying? The way these cameras are now, it might not be good. You might not know how to edit, but I always say, shoot your shot. Because people be like, oh, why you make that film? Like, you know how hard it is to get a black film greenlit? Very difficult. But in the meantime, support those people who are trying to just work our creative expression. And even the goofy ones like Sorry to Bother You. I don't know if you guys seen that.
I've seen that with Lakeith Stanfield.
Yes. He's very talented. I love that film, and it has a powerful message. How do y'all feel about Roots? I think people should definitely watch Roots, the old one that came out in 1977, and the newer one, because it's a part of history. And read the book, Roots, Alex Haley.
For me, if I had to, I think Roots is great. It's cool, but I understand. Look, Sin Jewel said I hated that film. The thing about Roots is that it had the lens that's not centered in wellness. I feel like
of course not.
But there's a way to tell the story of the transatlantic slave trade and tell stories about enslavement without everything being about how horrible we were done and how wrong we were done. There's ways to tell those stories and center Black love, center how we thrived in spite of. That's what's important to me. If we don't tell stories about our ancestors being enslaved, let's talk about how they thrived in spite of the oppression, as opposed to having the lens focus on the oppression.
Right.
So films like Sankofa, shows like Underground.
Yeah.
I love the show Underground because
Yeah.
that show, the center of it, like, yes, they were enslaved. Yes, they were escaping. Yes, they were running for freedom.
They
But the
love
center of that show is a Black love story.
Yeah.
The center of that show is honoring the elder, who is Harriet Tubman. There
Yeah.
are so many centers of the show that it's not all about slavery. When I think roots, I think slavery. When I think Sankofa, I think of hoodoo. I think of Ifa. I think of Shango. I think of her thriving. I think of all of that, you know? So when I think of a film, yes, the time period could be, you know, the slave era. But when I think of the film, I want to think about Black love. I want to think about how they overcame. I want to think about how they thrived. All of that. Bill Street, for me, was another trauma film.
Yeah, I was like, I just was like, oh, this seems pretty cool. And, you know, I thought they were going to have a cute little romantic relationship. But there was another film that came out, Sylvia's Place, on Prime. What a sweet, beautiful film. And they wind up, you know, kind of loving each other at the end. But I mean, that film, I was like, do we need that like right now? But,
cinematically, though, it was shot well.
Oh,
it was shot well. Like the shots were beautiful. The framing was beautiful. It was visually pleasing.
Absolutely.
But the story, Daughters of the Dusk. Ooh,
Daughters of the Dusk. Girl,
speak on that one,
thank
sis.
you.
Speak on that one.
Girl, that's my 1.5. Let me tell you something. Julie Dash is another one. I met her a couple of times and she remembered me, so I was so happy. I met her at a convention, well, not a convention, but at a dinner in South Carolina. And then I had lunch with her in Atlanta. Joy, and another sister friend of mine. We had lunch with Miss Julie Dash. I think she was just starting to do Queen Sugar, but she couldn't talk about it because, of course, they'd be under contract, blah, 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 blah. But she was still teaching as a, I guess, a traveling professor at Morehouse or something like that. So, but she was like she's like, that's your auntie, down to earth, you know. She is a true Gullah girl. She still goes to South Carolina. And, you know, Daughters of the Dust, I mean, every time I watch it, I cry. I just recently seen it, or I played some of it in my class a couple of weeks ago. We definitely talked about that. But that's where Beyonce got her lemonade from. Everybody clear about that, right? Because art imitate art. You know, in paying homage to the water and the ancestors, and even with Lemonade in the whole Daughters, Julie started a movement and didn't even realize it. So yes.
Yeah. Somebody said, I'm tired of Max. Hey, Max, in the wellness community. I see you, girl. Max says she's tired of hood movies, Black hood movies. How do you feel about that? Okay, before we talk about Black hood movies, focusing on the love stories again. You know how I feel about The Photograph with Issa Rae and Lakeith Stanfield. You know how I feel about the photo. Y'all, if y'all have not watched The Photograph, that's another great Black love story. But okay, moving on.
We need Black love stories, you know. Matter of fact, here in South Florida, I'm actually doing a conversation about a Black love film at the Black Box at the Victory Theater. It's a historic Black Box, but they've built this new building, and I'll be hosting Their Eyes Were Watching God, because guys, recently I've been channeling Zora hard. Just this past, what's today? Tuesday? Well, Wednesday almost. Just this past Sunday, I went to visit her grave in Florida. Like, if you ever drive through Florida through 95, just stop at Fort McPherson and go visit Auntie Zora. I went to just tell her I love her. Thank you for her words. But so I'm talking about Their Eyes Will Watch God, which is a phenomenal story of love and freedom within the Black
Y'all
community.
ain't stopping. I'm sorry, y'all, the comments is going. Y'all. So first off, Really Love on Netflix was a ripoff of Love Jones and poorly done. If you gonna play with Love Jones, you got to do it right. Really Love, it was cute. They tried. But if you gonna play with Love Jones, you gotta play right. Now, sis, one Queen's gal asked about Lena Waithe. How do you feel about Lena Waithe and, her films and
I feel
shows?
I feel like there's, like, um, Lena definitely has a place. She has a voice. Whether people agree with it or not, like I still don't think she should have killed him at the end of Queen Slim, but what you going to do? I loved her in this Hulu story called, I think it was like hair. It was something to do with hair.
Hair
And it was a
Tales?
hard. Was it Hair Tales?
Is
Oh my
that's the
gosh.
new show on Hulu with Tracy Ellis Ross and
No, 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 not that one. This was a so-called like a horror story on
oh, Bad
Hulu.
Hair. Hair
Bad
Tales.
hair.
Was it hair?
It was bad
It's,
hair. It was
it's
bad hair.
Bad Hair. Okay, Bad Hair. Yeah, that one.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
with the
So bad
weave
hair.
being cursed. If y'all
Yeah,
remember
I
that
loved
story.
her in bad hair. It was real organic and the transitional. So I feel like, each creators, you find your voice and you find your audience, and everybody should have an opportunity to do so. So that's kind of how I feel about
What's
that.
the recent series? I keep forgetting the name of it. I couldn't even finish it. What's the recent series that she had out? And it's about them. They moved into the white neighborhood. The black family moved into the y'all. What's the recent series Lena Waithe had out? And the white family moved into the black neighborhood. It's supposed to be like a horror type series.
I know you're not talking about them. On
I think it's
Prime?
them. Them. How did you feel about that one? Did you finish it?
Oh yeah, I finished it kicking and screaming. Let me tell you something. After Lovecraft came out, because we could talk black film all day in these streets. When
Yes.
Lovecraft came out and it had that particular direction of really highlighting not just the Green Book and not just traveling, but all those atrocities and triumphs that happened to black people in the most strangest scientific, brilliant way, that was some of the most crazy fucked up television, and I loved every minute of it. We were talking about that, but here comes them, that story of a husband and wife with their two daughters moving into a neighborhood that was prestigious and pronounced called Compton back in the 1950s, before it became the Compton that we know, Boys in the Hood, and the Compton that we now know today, which is being gentrified. Yes, is being gentrified. But finish that shit if y'all can, because let me tell y'all something. Episode 9, if y'all can make it past motherfucking episode 9, I fucks with y'all. And I mean
Okay.
it with all due respect, because it's so hardcore. Because if you think about it, tells a story. It's one of our stories. And even if it's like fiction, it's still battling with that nonfiction. A lot of that stuff that happened to them is probably very true, So yeah, check it out.
Now, sis, I'm gonna ask you about a couple more, and then we're gonna move on from film because I wanted
Sure.
again. This is supposed to be about Black culture as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked
Mm-hmm.
a little bit about Black history. She, I got to give the rundown for people who missed it. She talked a little bit about Black history and talked about the value of going to study people like John Henrik Clark,
Mm-hmm.
Amos Wilson. Who else we talked about? You talked Naeem Akbar.
Mm-hmm.
Then we talked about films. She gave you her top 5 films to go watch right now. Black Morpheus, anything by Lorraine Hansberry, Sankofa. She talked about The Spook Who Sat by the Door, as well as, what was the last one?
Deacons of Defense.
Deacons of Defense.
Mm-hmm.
She also talked about the value of clove water. Thank you for adding that in.
Mm-hmm.
Call Me Queen. We're unpacking Black film. I want to
Mm-hmm.
end the Black film section with you talking about some of your favorite filmmakers after, or maybe he's included, after you discuss Jordan Peele. Because for the people who don't know, my sister Queen Imani Latifah has a love of horror.
Yeah.
She loves horror. That is a genre that she really values.
Yes,
Please
I do.
discuss how you feel about Jordan Peele, and then share some Black filmmakers that you feel like everybody needs to get to know if they don't know.
Jordan Peele, I'm all into it. As a newer filmmaker, because he's only been on the scene for like the last five years. But I mean, my God, like to drop a film like that and he survives at the end. He ain't had to do another film in the world if he didn't want to. But I recently did see Nope, and I loved it. I love Nope. I really love, because I love that camaraderie between the sister and brother. I love the fact that they were trying to figure out how to beat this alien. Like, it just, I don't want to give it away, but I'm into it because it just gives us a different interpretation of how to deal with our trauma. That's what horror does for me. On Shudder or Prime, if you have it, there is a documentary called Horror Noir, when it kind of gives the interpretation of why Black people in horror is important. But it comes with the foundation of the fact that our history is a horror in America. And so that's why it's kind of like easy to watch. If you think about some of the things that happened to us in the past, it's a damn horror story. I mean, really. That's why I can watch them with a lens and not trying to be emotional, because that's one of our stories, or things that happen in Lovecraft, or Bloody Sunday in Alabama. You know what I'm saying? All these things are a part of the American story. So, which we are the thread and we are the knitters. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So who are some filmmakers that, if you had, because you gave your top 5 films to go see, who would you say are your top 5 filmmakers?
Ooh, definitely Julie Dash is one of my top, Julie Dash, Spike Lee. I just got a Spike book too, matter of fact. I seen it when I was in LA, but I got a big one.
Yes. Oh, it's so beautiful. So beautiful.
This is my other coffee table book, but Spike Lee came to Savannah State, remember?
Yes.
Spike Lee came to
Nikki
Savannah
Giovanni
State.
came to Savannah State. I was in Ghana at that time. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was graduated by that time, but I seen Nikki, but Spike is one of my other favorite filmmakers. There are quite a few other mentionable filmmakers, but my top 5, I do love Ava's work. For a contemporary, I do appreciate the work of the historic Oscar Mache's work. Oscar Mache is a foundational film person from the 1890s. They were out before there was even sound in films. So if you get a chance, look up Oscar Mache. Oscar Mache is a foundational Black filmmaker. They had a film production company way before Tyler Perry. We talk about almost 100 years ago. But that's when Black people were doing everything, lock, stock, and everything. When the film Birth of a Nation came out, he made a film to kind of combat Birth of a Nation from our own perspective, Oscar Mache. So get into Oscar Mache. He's definitely another one of our favorite films. And Spencer Tracy would be number 4. He was known for Step and Fetch It, but had a lot of Black films that came out through like the Harlem Nights. Well, not Harlem Nights actually, but the Harlem set of films. So Spencer Tracy is another one. And then my last favorite filmmaker, and I'm going to probably have to like Google his name. His name is Soleil. He did this film called Black Girl. He is the father of African cinema. If you want to see any dope, amazing, historical, accurate, creative films, get into it. Soleil. There was a documentary about him on Netflix, but there's a film called Black Girl. Came out in 1965. And it's basically about this sister who came from Senegal to work in France for this family. And basically, like, she's so depressed because she leaves home. They treat her, in the 60s, they treat her so bad that she winds up almost taking her life. So he did real contextual films that gave you a different perspective of everyday life in Africa before they were even doing it. So he is definitely the father of African cinema and one of my favorites. He has one film that was about like female mutilation. He has an extensive filmography, but it was so intense that when they were shooting the film, they were using one of the children as an actress, and she did not know that they were acting. She thought it was real, that they were actually about to cut her. So what you see is her actually kicking and screaming was all real. You know, she didn't know it was fake, but just to understand the intensity and why things, I think it's always up to us. People who are of African descent have their own stories and need to tell them. So that's what I'm saying with that.
Okay, that's beautiful.
Thank you, Wafer.
That's beautiful.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, so We talked about Black film. We talked about all of that good stuff, Black history. I have a couple more points, two
Okay.
more. I want to, excuse me, I want to talk about Black love.
Okay.
Next. I'm just going to throw the topic out there.
Oh,
Sis,
Lord.
how do you feel about the state? I hear bell hooks ringing.
Bell hooks.
How do you feel about the state of Black love, Black femininity, the divine masculine, the sacred masculine, the divine feminine, the sacred feminine? How do you feel about Black love right now?
Ooh, I love Black love. I feel like I'm about to sing that Tank in the Bangle song. I love Black folks. You know, I love Black love, and I'm in love with love. You know what I'm saying? And so we have to meet people where they are, but the elders, Baba Baruti, wrote this book called Complementary. The book Complementary talks about how within the realm of relationships, when we are serious, because sometimes we're not serious, we just play and dip our little finger in the pudding and, you know, all that other stuff, which, you know, for your development, that's what you do. But I feel like after a certain time, it's kind of like we have to have that complementary, and any relationship can be of complementary, but long as we're serious. So with complementary, if he wash the dishes better, let him wash the dishes. If you take out the trash better, you take out the trash. I know it's opposites, but I'm just saying it has to be something that brings you together for who does what better. You know what I'm saying? It has to be that in order for you to find that equal balance. There's so many things going on with Black love. I feel like a lot of times we kind of do things the way our European counterparts would, and we kind of need to cut that out immediately. I feel like as women, and this is something I've had to work on. Lord knows I have a mouth on me, Lord knows. But I feel like we need to listen more, and not listen to just speak, but actually listen to listen. You know what I'm saying? And give people the opportunity to really just, you know, understand where one is coming from, so you can kind of have a better understanding. It's okay to be angry, but understand that, like, you have to make yourself happy first. If you're not happy and you're not where you want to be with whatever it is in life, your education, your food ways, your mental health, your wellness, please, please, please take care of you first. Be in a relationship with yourself, and it's easier said than done. Be in that relationship with yourself first. That's the first Black love. And
That's
then
the first.
everything, I feel like, will fall into place. Some things will work, some things weren't, you know. Like, I'm still friends with all my exes. I don't know how, but it just is. It's probably the cancer in me trying, you know, to my attachments and stuff. But at the same time, I'm still mindful of, like, okay, I gotta act certain.
So I gotta touch on that because y'all, when I talk about my cancer friend, this is who I'm talking about.
Ah!
Okay, so y'all,
Talking about
if
me,
you
y'all.
knowing me, and you know I talk about my cancer friend, this is who I'm talking about. But you said a lot that was very powerful, but a couple things I want to expound upon when you made the point about the Baba Baruti. Baba Baruti. The book is called is it Compliments or Complimentary? It's Compliments.
Complimentary. I thought I had it somewhere.
Complimentary. Baba Baruti. Complimentary. If you find it, sis, please hold it up so they can screenshot it.
Okay.
Baba Baruti and his compliments, his wife, have been together for a lifetime. Okay. And you know, when you are around elders who have been in it for when you are around elders who've been in it for a long time, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
I was on live on TikTok the other day, and a sister chimed in and she said, y'all, this live was actually on my YouTube, where I was talking about spiritual struggles, and the sister said that she's on her spiritual journey, but her man is not. She said, I feel like this is my soulmate, but he's not on the spiritual journey. And I said, what's the problem? Because see, I'm not the friend that's going. I'm not the leave your nigga type of friend. I'm not the friend that's gonna be like, you need to leave him, girl. You need to let him go. I'm the friend that I want to talk about working it out. I want to talk about how we can work through this, because if you feel you found a soulmate, if you feel you found your person, we have to understand that life is going to cause changes. Life is going to happen. When you choose to journey through life with someone, you are choosing to live and enjoy, or not so much enjoy, the phases of life with them.
Right.
Y'all are not always going to be moving in direct alignment all the time. But when you found your complement, y'all should balance each other.
Right.
And as Sista Queen Imani pointed out, you know, when you have a compliment and you have that balance, if he's good at doing the dishes and you good at cooking, you cook, he do the dishes, or vice versa.
Right.
If he is not, he may not be great at cleaning the house. You are a neat freak. That's a form of balance.
Yes.
That's a form of balance. And I think, you know, when you talked about living according to European standards, I think that, you know, we try to practice Black love in a European light as shown on TV.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's not always that. You know, when I hear some sisters complain, and some brothers as well complain about their compliment, they often are complaining because the person is not showing up as they would show up. When you have a compliment, you have balance.
Yeah.
A compliment is not going to be you in a different body.
And you
a
have
compliment is going to be your direct balance.
Yeah.
So ideally, if we look at love through that lens, when you are upset with your partner because they didn't put their clothes in the dirty clothes, but you are a neat freak, that is a form of balance. Okay? When you are upset with your partner because they don't like to talk as much as you like to talk, they are a listener, you are a talker, that is a form of balance. Okay? So sometimes when we're talking about being in relationship and we're talking about being in this thing for the long haul, we can't be so quick to throw away the people who are potentially our compliments because they don't show up in life the way we would show up.
Right.
We have to be mindful of that. And one more thing I want us to be mindful of, and this is especially to my sisters, sisters, I need you to cut down on that list of non-negotiables. What you focus on is what will manifest. I talk to so many sisters who have their non-negotiables. If my man cheat, I'm leaving him. If my man do this, I'm leaving him. If he do that, I'm leaving him. And my question for my sisters is, what are you willing to stay for? What are you willing to work through? As opposed to shifting your focus on having your focus on the non-negotiables and the things that you ain't gonna tolerate, what are you willing to work with? What do you desire? What are your negotiables? That's what we got to start talking about. You know, a lot of our sisters, you got your list of non-negotiables and your list of things you ain't going to tolerate and your list of things that you ain't going to deal with. But what aspects of a person may not be your favorite, but you can negotiate on that. You make a deal with that. You make a live with that. Because, again, balance. Your compliment is your balance. How do you feel about that, sis?
Definitely. And also, you know, I mean, there's so much information out to kind of just support you. But like I said, you got to have that relationship tight with yourself first. And, you know, like I've gone, like, you know, we always change and have different phases in our life. And I feel like the phase in life where, you know, I don't know if anybody seen that clip of Eartha Kitt talking about, you know, compromise for what? You know what I'm saying? I mean, what is compromising? When you have self-love and the other person has self-love, you come together with your self-love. So there doesn't have to be a compromise. And we're all human. You teach people how you want to be treated and what you like. And you say, look, I don't like that. These are things that that make me frustrated and angry. I feel like even within your friendships, I mean, you know, you got to tell your sisters that too. You got to tell your sister friends and your brother friends, look, I don't like it when you don't call me back and I have something important to say. I wanted to talk to you. You got to tell people how you want to be treated. That's very important. But most important, that relationship with yourself, complimentary with yourself. What you do well, you know, do it. Because, I mean, some days I'll be like, oh, I'm so tired. I'm so lazy. But what moves us in carrying those same energy into our relationships with people, especially our listeners. So, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, sis. So now we done talked about Black love. We done talked about all of that. I want you to share, if you have the energy, and I see you have a plethora of books behind you, top 5 books you feel like everybody should read to talk about that discuss Black culture or that's centered in Black culture.
Oh,
Somebody said, not me
Lord.
watching your YouTube while you on live. Hey!
Who is that?
Yeah. Top 5 books. Shout out to Aaliyah.co. She said that. Top 5 books.
Just
y'all start screenshotting Autobiography of Malcolm X. You know you got to put that one.
By Alex Haley. Just, I have 10 of these. Look, if a young person come by, look, you get in this book, okay? That's one. This is the one by Baba Baruti. This one.
Can you read the name? It's a little blurry.
Yes. A Calendar of Revolutionary Daily Thoughts. This is it right here.
A calendar of revolutionary daily thoughts to shift the mindset to a revolutionary mindset.
Correct. This is definitely a must. That's the second one. There was another book that I had. Oh, here we go. A must have. You need to have. The ancestor, the great and powerful Dr. Laila Africa. Get it. You'll thank us later.
That's African Holistic Health, okay? Yes. African Holistic Health. You got to have that book.
You see, you be having little markers and stuff in there.
You got to have it.
African Holistic Health.
That's about healing the body, understanding how to use plants as medicine, understanding the body and how we work as a whole as African people. That's what that book is. Oh, you got to.
Everybody got this. If you don't, you should.
Sacred Woman by Queen Afua, or Man Heal Thyself by Queen Afua for the brothers. Man Heal Thyself.
I've had this book so long, it's signed.
Yeah.
I got this book in Brooklyn like 100 years ago. But thanks to my mom,
of course, Call Me Queen. Call Me Queen shouted out Bell Hooks, All About Love. Of course.
Bell Hooks. I think I had that book home in Atlanta.
Anything Bell Hooks. For Bell Hooks, All About Love, of course.
Bell Hooks Salvation.
Salvation.
Okay, Bell Hooks, we talked about Malcolm X.
I can't see it. 999 Powerful Black Woman.
Yes. This says
I haven't read that one.
Powerful Affirmations for Black Women. My mom gave this to me, but every day it says daily affirmations to hack your mind to prosperity, confidence, health, money, success, motivation, love to overcome anxiety and depression in modern world. This is an excellent book. 999
Powerful Affirmations for Black Women.
Yes.
I love that. Okay, I'm gonna get that one myself.
That one right there, and anything by Toni Morrison, anything by Zora, anything. Like, get the audiobooks, get that shit. Just get it in your life. Please just start with it, and then you'll go from there.
Anything by Toni Morrison, anything by Bell Hooks, anything by Zora Neale Hurston, anything by Ntozake Shange.
Yes.
Anything by almost anything by Sister Soldier. Sister Soldier, no disrespect. Sister Soldier, no disrespect. Name of the book, the calendar book that's out by Dr. Baba Baruti.
Okay.
Baba Baruti. He also has a book on love, Black love and marriage. And that is complimentary. It's about compliments. So look up Baba Baruti, compliments. A Day Late, Dollar Short. That's Terry McMillan. I love Terry McMillan.
Yeah. Mama
by Terry McMillan is a good one too.
So I was kind of holding this so you guys could screenshot this.
Yes, that's by Baba Baruti. Move it a little closer to the screen. It's, you know what it is? It has that book glaze on it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Like, it's glary. That's good. That's good.
Okay. And so we talked about that. There's another one called What Mama Didn't Tell Us About Love. It's called what I'm gonna say it so you guys can write it down. What Mama Never Told Us About Love. Healing the Emotional Legacy of Slavery, Celebrating Our Light. Phenomenal book. Phenomenal book because it's written by a psychologist and a sociologist. Also, honorable mention, please get Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, ISIS Papers. If you can mentally handle that, it will change your life. You might have to read it like for the next 10 years to understand, but it's, it's a must. It's a must on the Black Power book list.
Sis, why would you bring up Dr. Frances Cress Welsing?
Because we cannot.
Why would you do that? Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, the ISIS Papers.
Mm-hmm.
I was on live, I think it was yesterday, sis, and I was talking about, so there was a young brother who was on live, and he, I said the brother was me back in college. Back in college, I wish my homeboy was on here. And he would tell you back in college, he used to be like, all right, sister soldier, calm down. Because y'all in college, when you first get introduced to the ISIS Papers and Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, when you first start listening to Cornel West, and you really start, unpacking the speeches by Bell Hooks, you get into Dr. John Henrik Clarke, you start getting into all the people. Y'all, I turned into like a walking Hidden Colors DVD. Okay? I turned into a walking Hidden Colors DVD, I tell you not. So this young brother was on live, and I was like, ooh, this was me back in college, because he was so passionate, and he was so serious. And when you have all this information, you start to see how it manifests in the world. And you feel like you got to wake everybody up. You feel like you got to tell everybody. You feel like you got to put everybody on.
Yeah.
And that's where he was. So I will give y'all this warning. Okay? Imani done dropped she that's why I said why you had to bring up Dr. Frances Cress. Y'all, don't you get into Dr. Frances Cress Welsing in the ISIS Papers. Don't you get into Dr. John Henrik Clarke. Don't you get into all of don't you start watching no Hidden Colors documentaries and go to your job and start cussing out the white folk. Okay, don't you do it. Don't you blame us. Don't you blame us.
Yes. There's so much, y'all. There's a couple of questions in the chat that I'm gonna try to address that. One of the sisters or brothers asked about morning rituals, and then something about what the book title for the calendar.
How do we decide what African culture to cling to? DNA.
Yeah, this was the book. Just look up his name, Dr. Milani Baruti. Hey, Baba, have you ever seen it? Milani Baruti.
It's a glare on it. It's a glare on it. Dr. Baba. Y'all, we done said the name about 50 times. There you go. Dr. Baba Baruti. Okay, Baba Baruti.
Okay.
It's backwards for them, so that's the thing. So because
I'm sorry about that.
It's inverted. We can't do nothing about that, y'all.
Center. Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. They haven't mastered the camera as of good. So
I think answering that question that the sister asked, I have my views on it, but I definitely want you to answer first. Where the sister said, how do we decide what African culture to cling to? DNA. So essentially, should she go get an ancestry DNA? How should she decide what African culture to study? How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, they all belong to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, they all belong to you. I would do if you really want to do a DNA test, do African ancestry only, because they don't sell your DNA. Okay? Like, let me say that again. If you absolutely have to, or just visit the continent, you might run into somebody that look like you, and you'll know. There was an elder ancestor, Baba Jim Bako of Gullah, my favorite Gullah place in Riceboro, Georgia, Geechee Kunda. He used to always just be like, we ain't got time for separation. We are all one people. We are African people. If it desires you, of course, definitely get your DNA test, your mitochondria, your paternal line. And then you will know directly, but just be mindful of that, But until then, it's kind of like when you go into the Yoruba culture, everybody's head is Obatala, you know what I'm saying? Until you are, crowned, or your pathway has been laid out for you. So it doesn't matter, sis. It all belongs to you. The world is yours, as Nas said. Seriously. And I think someone had asked about morning routines.
Morning routines.
Yeah, let me tell you, I be lazy in the morning. I am not no perfect hotep where I get up and I burn sage and I drink my tea. Now I don't be doing all that shit all the time, y'all. I really have to be I have to be in the moment. Sometimes I just lay around and I do research, or I live in Miami, guys, so it's pretty, it's November
Tropical.
the so November the 1st, and it was 91 degrees today. So, summer here all year long, and we are grateful. So, I thank God for living by the ocean. I am a big water child. And most of the times when I'm not doing something, I'll get up early in the morning and go to the beach and watch the sunrise. And I am recharged for the week. And then, of course, if y'all haven't done it, go get yourself in some salt water. I had the honor of spending 12 days in Cuba this past summer. Cuba, that's
Beautiful.
more black folks.
Beautiful.
Your
If y'all
cousins
can
is in
get to
Cuba.
Cuba, please. If you
Yeah.
can, go.
Yes. Your cousins are in Cuba. They are waiting for you. They are beautiful. It's nothing like anybody says. Cuba is like going to like maybe Spanish Harlem or something like that. And just real organic. Like people are just so beautiful and so calm, and you don't have that intensity when you see the police there. It's just different, So travel, travel,
Absolutely.
travel. Can. Yes.
Absolutely. I'll say morning routine for me when I first wake up in the morning. I am a morning person. I'm a morning routine person.
Yes,
Not
you are.
necessarily routine. I'm more free flowing, but these are some mandatory things I do in the morning to get the vibe right, get the energy right. The first thing I do, like literally on the side of my bed, I keep lemon water. Lemon water. So get you some lemon or some lime water and keep that on the side of your bed. So when you wake up in the morning, you can immediately down that. Okay. Please. It flushes the body. It helps rejuvenate the system, everything.
Yeah.
Get you some lemon
Fact.
water. So I
Fact.
wake up in the morning, side of my bed, down my lemon water. Before my feet touch the ground, I'm already saying affirmations. I sit on the side of my bed, wiggle my toes, because you got to get the blood flowing. You never want to go from being laying down for 6, 7, 8 hours to just hopping right up and going. You got to give your body time to circulate that blood. Okay, that's how you keep that blood fresh and rejuvenated. Sit on the side of your bed, wiggle your toes, stand up, stretch your body. Okay, stretch your body. If you do full-blown yoga, cool, but stretch your body. Be very intentional about stretching your body, stretching out your muscles. You got to think you've been contracted and laying down for 7, 8 hours straight.
Mm-hmm.
First thing I do, we say make what I do. I clean myself. I clean my face, clean my hands, my feet. I wash my good parts up, and I pray. After I pray, I make my herbs. Sometimes I make herbs. Sometimes I make coffee. It just depends on what my vibe wants. And then I go from there. Okay, so what happens after that is just free on a day. But
Mm-hmm.
although it sounds like a lot, y'all, this is literally probably like a 10-minute process
Mm-hmm.
between saying my affirmations, waking up, drinking my lemon water, sitting up, finishing down the lemon water, getting up,
I'll be right back.
stretching,
I need to go
washing.
to the restroom. I'll be
Okay.
right back. Hold on one
Okay.
second.
Stretching, washing, making herbs, coffee, whatever, and then, getting my day started. But always make sure you start your day with drinking water. You have to drink water first thing in the morning. It's a must. Don't let the first thing you put in your body be food or be juice or anything like that. Even if you're not a fan of lemon water, make it some plain water. If you don't want to do lemon water, do some oregano water. Oregano is really good for the body as well. Do some oregano water. So you need to down water first thing in the morning to jumpstart that body and get going. Okay, so add that to your morning routine plus your affirmations and all that stuff. Now I'm about to let Imani go. When she come back, we're gonna wrap up. Do y'all have any other questions before she go? So if you have any other questions, put them in the chat. She already shared filmmakers. She shared films. She shared, I do room temperature, not cold water, room temperature only. She shared films. She shared a lot of different things. How are smoothies? I love smoothies for breakfast. Smoothies are great. I do smoothies sometimes as well. But in the morning, if I'm going to do something, I usually do a lot of liquids. Smoothies are good though. Smoothies are really good. But yeah, she gave books. She gave all of that stuff. So if you have any other questions before she go, feel free to ask them. She told you some people. We talked about Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, John Henrik Clark, Amos Wilson, Naeem Akbar, some people to research and their teachings for more information. And yeah, we gonna wrap up when she comes back. Thank you, Different Results. I'm glad you enjoyed. Hey, Tay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Just blessed to see. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Y'all are
One
so
Queen's gal. Thank you. All right, Sister Queen. So we about to wrap up. Yes, I'm going to save this live and I'll download it and put it on my YouTube. Tomorrow I have a video coming out on ancestor altars. So I'll probably release this one on what's tomorrow? Wednesday. I'll probably release this one Thursday. Okay. Could I make wait, could you make some of these films, please? Can we make some of our films?
I'm working on a film right now for PBS Local, but that's another story for another time. It's in regards to Croissant Creole, the Haitian pig. I'll explain in another live.
Okay. Thank y'all. I'm glad you enjoyed. So, Sister Queen,
yes,
we appreciate you. We love you. We thank you. The conversation was great as always. This was a good jump start to get folks into studying and researching Black culture. You gave a plethora of knowledge, and we appreciate you always. And girl, you know, we probably gonna be texting right after we get off here.
Listen, I love y'all. Listen, get into yourselves. It's all for you. Don't listen to them people. Like Toni Morrison said, sometimes you gotta kick that little white man off your shoulder. That's all. You know what I'm saying? And get back to it. So I love y'all. And take care. Peace and blessings. Don't forget your clove water and your own personal rituals. And I'm out.
Ashe. Peace. Peace, everybody.
Peace.